So hi, Thorsten. Tell me about the Trusted Computing Group.
Well, Trusted Computing Group is an organization for standards that's been around for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. Originally established to really place smart cards on PCs. Right? It was always cumbersome to stick a smart card into the side of a PC.
Yeah.
And this, so why not? That's right. Why not put an ID on the board, right? So is it intended to develop a standard around very, very low-cost chip that you would put down onto a PC to provide basic security functionalities. And since then, the last 25 years, it's expanded into all sorts of different other areas, and it's really part of every kind of technology today.
Well, since you brought it up, give me an overview of the key standards and specs that are used presently.
Well, the one that TCG is most known for is the TPM, the Trusted Platform Module, which is that chip. Right? Every Windows PC or every PC typically has that today. It's a requirement. It's a security requirement. But there are other ones that are also worthwhile. There's a new standard called DICE, a Device Identity Composition Engine, which, by the way, just implements another way of testing the integrity of a platform or sensor infrastructure without the need of having that hardware capability built in, right? So a lower cost, but also still effective way of measuring a platform. Another one would be the FIM, Firmware Integrity Measurement. We have lots of acronyms, which is all about how do I measure the firmware of a device and its ecosystem so that I can prove that nothing's been modified or tampered with. Second to last one would be RIM, Reference Integrity Manifest.
I knew what that was.
I thought so. Which is the way that somebody that now manufactures a product documents it so that you have parts provenance, or I think you can prove that that sensor really came from who it was meant to come from and that it wasn't modified in traffic. And lastly, another group that I'm very, very excited about is the Supply Chain Security Work Group, which is really focused on driving all of these standards into the supply chain and securing the supply chain, because that's been one of the biggest problems, emerging problems in the recent couple of years.
Just since you mentioned RIM, I mean, are people adhering to it?
Yes, it's actually being adopted quite a lot in the electronic space.
Yeah.
Right? I wish that it was adopted in more areas. Let me be clear, it's just a standard of the way that you document your product, and you sign that documentation so that it can then be collated by somebody that's assembling all of those components. Right?
I get it.
And
it's accounting.
That's right. It's accounting, but in a secure way.
Where else would it be needed, do you think?
Well, I mean, primarily electronics, because it's meant to track hardware and firmware provenance. But honestly, we've had people come to us about food security,
okay,
all sorts of other things like it, and chemical security or other different types of areas in terms of this is where the chemical or the battery composition, where the battery material
big area.
From. It is. So that's why these are.
People do not appreciate the value of standards, do they?
They don't. They never do.
It's like every time I get the wrong screw size for a little. Oh, sorry, got way off the subject.
No,
but you go like, can't there just be one screw?
But the thing is that's actually one of the problems is too many people think that standard doesn't exist and try to reinvent it, right? And that's where.
No, totally. So, what's trusted computing concept? What is that? I mean, you used that at the beginning. Is that a standard, or is that just a concept?
So trusted computing as a whole is a concept. So how can I prove the integrity of a device or of something that I'm communicating with, right? That's basically the thought behind TCG and trusted computing. And with that come all of those standards that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Wow, this has been really great talking to you. Thanks very much. Nice to meet you, Thorsten.
Absolutely.